There are entire nations begging you to swap your 9-to-5 grind for their beaches, bustling tech hubs, and shockingly simple visa stamps. Welcome to Top 10 Countries That Want Black Americans to Come Live and Work There. Non-African Destinations. The countdown you've been waiting for. Yes, you heard right. They want Black Americans. From governments waiving income proof to employers dangling signing bonuses like carnival candy, these top 10 non-African countries that want Black Americans to come live and work there are practically airdropping opportunity. We'll unpack how shrinking birth rates, billion-dollar skill gaps, and a global diversity arms race have kicked open doors that were bolted shut a decade ago. Think lower taxes, deeper respect, and lattes so cheap they make your student loan statement cry. No spoilers. Stick around as we reveal each of the 10 countries that want Black Americans to come live and work there and crown our number one pick. Hit the like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more eye-opening content. Let's dive in. Number 10. South Korea. You can teach English in Seoul and make more money in a month than some folks back home see in a quarter, without a side hustle. South Korea isn't just rolling out the red carpet, they're practically printing your visa before you book the flight. With a shortage of native English teachers and a booming tech economy, Black Americans with a college degree and clear speech are considered high-value imports. No, you don't need to speak Korean, but you will need to get used to spicy food, 5G everywhere, and being called teacher, like you're some sort of language Jedi. Now don't let the country's lack of melanin fool you. While Korea isn't known for deep racial diversity, many Black expats report feeling safer walking home at night than they ever did in parts of the US. You won't get side-eyed by police every 5 minutes, and with a culture rooted in respect, you might actually get the benefit of the doubt for once. Refreshing, right? Korea's government isn't just tolerating foreigners, they're actively recruiting. They've streamlined visa programs for skilled workers, engineers, healthcare pros, and creatives. The E2 visa for English teachers is one of the easiest work visas to get on Earth. And the pay? Competitive. Expect $2,000 to $3,000 per month, free housing, flight reimbursement, and bonuses if you stay put. That's right, they'll pay you not to ghost them. And we need to talk about healthcare. For roughly $100 a month, you get full access to one of the world's most efficient systems. Dental, checkups, emergencies, it's all in there. Ever paid $1,300 for a Tylenol drip in the US? Yeah, not here. Now let's be honest. Korea is not going to hand you a plate of fried catfish or quote Nina Simone lyrics at karaoke. But it will give you safety, respect, and a chance to build wealth without dodging systemic racism at every turn. That alone makes it worth the culture shock. Would you trade casual discrimination for instant Wi-Fi, free housing, and a country that actually wants you? South Korea's asking, and the ball's in your court. Number 9. Uruguay. You know things are upside down when a tiny South American country with more cows than people is making more sense than the so-called land of the free. Uruguay might not be the flashiest passport stamp, but don't sleep on this one. It's quietly building a reputation as one of the most progressive, chill, and shockingly stable countries you could ever call home. First off, Uruguay isn't playing games with democracy. It ranked number 13 on the Economist's Democracy Index in 2023, ahead of the US. And yes, that says a lot. This place takes human rights seriously. No one's trying to regulate your body, ban books, or tell you who to marry. It's giving freedom for real, not just the t-shirt slogan. Now here's where it gets interesting. Uruguay has a population crisis. Their birth rate is tanking, their workforce is aging, and they need fresh, educated, working-age humans. Yesterday. That's where you come in. As a Black American with US citizenship, you get special treatment on arrival. No need for crazy visa hoops. Just show up, start the residency process, and boom, you're in. No prove your worth games, no ridiculous income requirements. You just need a clean record, proof of some income, and an address. That's it. Want to open a business? Uruguay says, great, here's your tax ID. Want to work remotely for your US company? Even better. Your foreign income isn't taxed. Want to retire early and sip mate on a quiet beach? They'll hand you a hammock and point you to the ocean. And let's talk vibes. Uruguayans are famously chill. Like, shut down early to go watch the sunset, chill. Montevideo is clean, peaceful, and has a surprisingly artsy soul. Think poetry slams in Spanish, Afro-Uruguayan candombe drums echoing through the streets, and a food scene that makes you forget about fast food altogether. Now, it's not some Wakanda 2.0. There's still work to do around racial representation, and you may be one of the few black folks on your block. But here's the kicker. You'll likely feel less judged, less watched, and far less stressed than in many diverse U.S. cities. That mental freedom? Priceless. So here's the question. Would you give up 24-hour drive-thrus and Target runs for a calm, safe, dignified life in a country that respects your rights and your presence? Uruguay's doors are open, and they're not asking you to change who you are at the door. Number 8. Japan. In a country where your umbrella gets its own locker at the train station, trust me, being respected as a Black American isn't some far-fetched fantasy, it's standard practice. Japan might not scream Black diaspora hotspot, but it's quietly becoming a sanctuary for folks tired of being racially profiled, underpaid, or just straight-up ignored. Let's start with the basics. Japan has a population crisis so bad it's making the national news every week. In 2024, their population dropped for the 15th year in a row, and over 28% of the population is over age 65. Translation? They desperately need people who can work, contribute, and just be alive under the age of retirement. And while Japan used to be more selective, the government is now actively recruiting foreign workers, especially in IT, healthcare, engineering, and English education. Enter the Black American professional. Educated, multilingual, global-minded, and passport-ready. Whether you're teaching English with the JET program, freelancing as a tech nomad, or getting hired as a systems engineer, Japan will often sponsor your visa, help with relocation, and pay you well for your time. Now, is Japan perfect? No. It's still very homogeneous, and staring is a thing. Like, I've never seen a black person in real life kind of staring. But it's curiosity, not hostility. No cops trailing you through a department store. No Karen asking if you live in this building. No HOA letters about your porch decor. And here's the kicker. Japan's obsession with detail and quality extends to everything. Public transport, healthcare, safety, even vending machines. Tokyo has less violent crime in a year than some US cities have on a summer weekend. And the social contract is real. People mind their business, follow the rules, and leave you alone. You might not find a soul food joint on every corner, but you also won't have to explain why your very existence makes someone uncomfortable. Plus, the tech and pop culture scenes, top tier. From anime conventions to hip-hop dance crews in Shibuya, Japan's younger generation is already vibing with black culture hard. You're not showing up as an outsider, you're bringing the source material. So ask yourself, would you trade microaggressions for vending machines that sell hot meals, trains that show up to the second, and a society that values your contribution without demanding assimilation? Japan's not just inviting you, it's quietly making space for you to thrive. Number 7. Mexico. Mexico isn't just for spring breakers and Taco Tuesdays, it's becoming the go-to reset button for Black Americans fed up with the nonsense. And I'm not talking about some dusty border town or resort bubble. I'm talking about real cities, vibrant, international, culturally rich, where people are not just surviving, they're finally exhaling. Now here's why Mexico is eyeing Black Americans like a top draft pick. First, the temporary resident visa is basically a green light if you can show moderate monthly income, about $2,600 a month as of 2025. Not a millionaire? No problem. Remote worker? Even better. Mexico welcomes US dollars with open arms. And unlike the US, where you need a lawyer just to rent an apartment, here you can settle down with less paperwork than it takes to cancel a gym membership. And it's not just easy entry. Mexico has a booming digital nomad scene, thriving Black expat groups in places like Mexico City, Mérida, and Oaxaca. And here's the wild part, a genuine curiosity about Black culture that doesn't feel like exploitation. People actually respect your style, your music, your presence. You're not a problem walking down the street. You're a vibe. Healthcare? Affordable. Education? Accessible. Fresh mangoes on your doorstep in the morning? Yes, please. You can live on $1,500 to $2,000 per month in style, with a cleaner, fresh food, and a local cafe that remembers your order. Of course, no place is perfect. There are issues with crime in certain areas, just like in the US, but the key difference? You're not being targeted because you're black. You're just a person navigating a place like everyone else. And unlike some places back home, the police don't have itchy trigger fingers when they see brown skin. That alone changes your entire nervous system. Also, let's talk community. You'll find retired teachers, remote tech workers, solo travelers, and young creatives, all building something new and doing it without fear. Black Americans in Mexico aren't hiding. They're hosting brunch, building businesses, raising families, and thriving without the constant weight of fitting in. So here's a thought. Would you stay in a country that keeps reminding you you're not wanted, when one just south of the border is actively asking you to come, stay, build, and breathe? Mexico isn't perfect, but for a lot of Black Americans, it's finally peaceful. And peace, these days, is priceless. Number 6. Germany. Germany doesn't care what color your skin is, as long as you can code, weld, care for patients, or keep the economy humming. They're not being subtle about it either. With an aging population and over 1.8 million job vacancies as of 2025, Germany is basically standing at the arrivals gate like, do you speak English and have a degree? Willkommen. Now don't get it twisted. Germany hasn't always had the smoothest track record with race. But when it comes to work, they value efficiency over ego. They'll hire you, train you, house you, and give you health insurance that doesn't require a second mortgage. And no, you don't need to be fluent in German to get started. Many companies operate in English, especially in Berlin, Hamburg, and Frankfurt. And speaking of Berlin, if you're Black, creative, and even remotely tired of being stared at while shopping for shampoo, this city might feel like freedom. It's messy, loud, multicultural, and deeply unbothered by your presence. Black-owned restaurants? Check. Afro-European art galleries? Yep. Hip-hop nights where no one says the N-word? Believe it. Germany's blue card system is one of the easiest pathways for skilled professionals in Europe. You just need a job offer with a minimum salary threshold, currently around 43,800 euros, or about 47,000 US dollars, depending on your field, and boom, you're in. Plus, the path to permanent residency is streamlined. Stay a few years, and they'll offer you citizenship without the drama. Let's talk lifestyle. Public transportation that actually works. Streets so clean they make your auntie's white couch jealous. Daycare that doesn't cost more than rent. Germans love rules, but they also respect boundaries. No one's asking you intrusive questions about your hair, your body, or your business. You might actually relax. Yes, you'll still deal with the occasional cold stare in the countryside or the passive-aggressive bureaucrat. But compared to dealing with redlining, over-policing, and constant code-switching back home, this feels like a deep breath. And here's the wild part. Germany is one of the few countries where Black Americans say they feel respected. Not fetishized, not tokenized, just treated like a fellow adult with something to offer. That alone might be worth trading your all-you-can-eat wings for bratwurst and bike lanes. So the real question is, would you rather fight to be tolerated in your home country or be actively recruited and supported abroad? Germany's hiring, and they're not asking you to change who you are, just to show up and do what you already do best. We're halfway through the countdown. If you are enjoying the video so far, hit the like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and ring the notification bell for more informative content. Let's get back into it. Number 5. Costa Rica. Costa Rica isn't just a vacation, it's a whole vibe. And more importantly, it's one of the few places on Earth that feels like it actually wants you to stay a while. Not tolerate you, not market you for diversity points. Want you. Black Americans aren't just visiting Costa Rica, they're relocating, rejuvenating, and reclaiming their peace in the jungle, on the beach, and yes, in Spanish. Let's cut to the facts. Costa Rica has no military. You heard that right, none. It ditched the guns in 1948 and decided to spend that money on education and healthcare instead. As a result, it now ranks as one of the happiest countries in the world, with universal healthcare and a literacy rate hovering near 98%. Meanwhile, in the US, we've got billion-dollar defense budgets and GoFundMe campaigns for insulin. And here's where it gets spicy. Costa Rica wants you there. The government rolled out a digital nomad visa that lets you live and work in paradise for up to 2 years if you make just $3,000 per month. No need to learn advanced Spanish or marry a local. Just prove you can sustain yourself, and the pura vida life is yours. Now let's talk about being black in Costa Rica. On the Caribbean side, especially in places like Puerto Viejo, you'll find Afro-Caribbean communities that speak English, blast reggae, and serve jerk chicken that'll make your knees wobble. There's no guessing game here. Blackness isn't foreign, and neither is your accent. And unlike in many diverse U.S. cities where the police are overfunded and your neighbors still clutch their pearls, Costa Ricans are more likely to offer you fresh fruit than a side-eye. People smile, greet you, and move on. Nobody cares that your hair defies gravity. They care more about whether you like guanabana smoothies. But don't confuse chill with lazy. Costa Rica has a booming ecotourism and sustainability sector, and remote workers from all over the world are setting up shop here. The Wi-Fi is fast, the views are outrageous, and the cost of living way lower than LA, DC, or Brooklyn. You can live well on $1,500 to $2,500 per month, depending on your taste for beachfront property and avocados. So here's a question worth asking. When was the last time your skin color didn't come with extra paperwork, suspicion, or trauma? In Costa Rica, you're not a walking stereotype. You're just another human soaking up sun, sipping coffee, and living on your own terms. Number 4, Brazil. Brazil doesn't just accept blackness, it wears it like a badge of honor. This is a country where being black isn't something to explain, soften, or defend. It's celebrated, danced to, painted on walls, and embedded into the rhythm of everyday life. You're not a diversity quota here, you're part of the cultural DNA. Let's talk numbers. Brazil has the largest black population outside of Africa. Over 56% of Brazilians identify as black or mixed race. That's not a footnote, that's the foundation. So when black Americans land in Salvador, Rio, or São Paulo, the vibe is immediate. Oh, I belong here. Now here's why Brazil is looking your way. Despite its cultural richness, Brazil's economy needs skilled workers. The government is actively encouraging international professionals, freelancers, and entrepreneurs to help modernize sectors like tech, health, education, and tourism. And if you've got a U.S. passport, it opens doors. The digital nomad visa, launched in 2022, lets you live in Brazil for up to 2 years if you earn about $1,500 per month, which, in Brazilian reais, stretches like yoga pants on Thanksgiving. And the cost of living? Wildly affordable. In cities like Salvador or Florianopolis, you can live comfortably for $1,200 to $2,000 per month, with rent, food, healthcare, and probably a weekly acai bowl thrown in. Compare that to paying $3,000 for a one-bedroom in Atlanta while dodging gentrification and parking tickets. Exactly. But let's be real. Brazil isn't utopia. There are racial disparities, yes. Classism is real, and safety varies depending on where you land. But here's the flip. When you walk into a room, you're not the only. You're not the anomaly. You're not being asked to represent your entire race. You're just there, like everyone else, eating feijoada, dancing samba, and figuring out how to say "where's the bathroom" in Portuguese. And the cultural respect? Off the charts. From capoeira schools teaching Afro-Brazilian martial arts to candomblé temples preserving African spiritual traditions, this place doesn't just know where it came from, it honors it. You won't have to fight to be seen. You already are. So let me ask you this. After centuries of being told to assimilate, minimize, and tone it down, what would it feel like to just show up, fully, unapologetically, and still be welcomed? Brazil isn't asking you to shrink, it's handing you the mic and turning up the beat. Number 3. Panama. Panama is that rare spot where you can pay with US dollars, speak English at the bank, and still feel like you're living abroad. It's like the US without the racial anxiety and broken infrastructure, and Panama wants you there. Not in a diversity brochure kind of way. In a "we've got laws that make this easy for you" kind of way. Let's break it down. Panama's Friendly Nations visa is one of the most accessible residency pathways on the planet. Got a passport from the US, proof of income, and a clean criminal record? Boom, you're in. You don't need to invest millions. You don't need to learn Spanish overnight, though it helps. And you don't have to navigate some maze of immigration red tape. Panama made it simple because, well, they actually want you there. And the perks? Oh, they stack. A tropical climate with 2 coastlines. A booming economy anchored by the Panama Canal. A capital city that feels like Miami's calmer, more polite cousin. And did we mention no currency exchange hassle? Panama uses the US dollar. Your money works instantly, without fees, without funny math, and without conversion heartbreak. Now, let's talk culture. Panama's Afro-Caribbean heritage runs deep, especially in regions like Colón and parts of Panama City. You'll hear reggae en español on the streets, see dark-skinned faces on the billboards, and meet people who already know what a satin bonnet is. You won't be explaining your hair every week or being treated like a novelty act. The cost of living? Manageable and flexible. You can live modestly on around $1,500 per month, or splurge a bit and still not break a sweat at $2,500 per month. The internet is fast, healthcare is excellent and affordable, and you can be at the beach and the mountains in one afternoon if you time it right. But here's the kicker. Panama doesn't treat Black Americans like outsiders. Many Panamanians have family ties to the Caribbean and the US, and some even speak better English than your cousin in Atlanta. The vibe is familiarity. The system respects your dollars, and no one's mistaking you for the help in your own neighborhood. So tell me, would you rather keep fighting for space in a country you helped build, or explore one that's saying, come on in, we've got room and we've got love? Panama's doors aren't just open, they're wide, waving, and asking how soon you can get there. Number 2. Portugal. Portugal might be Europe's best-kept secret, but not for long. Because when word gets out that Black Americans are being welcomed with open arms, low rent, and fast-track visas, well, let's just say the passport stamps are about to flow. This is a country where your presence isn't questioned, it's appreciated. And in 2025, that's rare air. Let's start with the facts. Portugal has spent the last decade transforming from economic underdog to expat hotspot. It's one of the safest countries in the world, ranking number 7 on the Global Peace Index, and it's got some of the lowest violent crime rates in Europe. In Lisbon, you're more likely to be invited to a rooftop dinner than pulled over for matching a description. Now here's where it gets really good. Portugal's D7 visa and digital nomad visa programs were practically designed with Americans in mind. Make around €3,040 per month remotely or from passive income, and you can legally live, rent, work, and even bring your family. And they won't treat you like a criminal while you do it. No interrogations at the post office, no random ID checks on the street, just vibes. Lisbon, Porto, and smaller towns like Braga have thriving Black expat scenes. We're talking meetups, businesses, salons, Sunday dinners, and even African dance nights where you don't need to break down the cultural reference. You'll hear Amharic, Criollo, Nigerian pidgin, and Black Southern twangs all in the same cafe. It's Black global culture at its finest. And let's not forget the cost of living. While Lisbon is getting pricier, it's still way cheaper than Brooklyn, DC, or LA. You can live comfortably on $2,000 to $2,500 per month, and in smaller cities, even less. Healthcare? Universal and shockingly efficient. A full doctor's visit might run you $30 with no insurance. Try pulling that off in the US without selling a kidney. Now, does Portugal have racism? Of course, it's Europe. But the difference is in the temperature. It's not baked into the traffic stops, housing, or job interviews the same way. You're not constantly decoding passive-aggressive microaggressions or wondering if your skin just cost you an apartment. Here, you're more likely to be asked where you're from, and not in that "why are you here" kind of way. So ask yourself this: when your home country treats you like a liability, and another treats you like an asset, where do you plant your future? Portugal's not whispering. It's inviting, warmly, legally, and with a glass of port in hand. Number 1. Thailand. Thailand isn't just a vacation, it's a full-blown lifestyle upgrade. And while most people come for the beaches and elephant selfies, Black Americans are discovering something deeper. Respect, opportunity, and a level of daily peace that makes the US feel like a 24/7 anxiety simulator. Thailand's not playing when it comes to attracting global talent and remote income. The government launched the Smart Visa and Long-Term Resident Visa (LTR) programs aimed directly at foreign professionals, entrepreneurs, and even retirees. Got skills, a remote job, or some passive income? Thailand basically says, cool, you can stay for 10 years. No begging, no guessing, just plug and play. And here's where it gets real. Black Americans who move here consistently say they feel safer, freer, and less judged. Not because Thailand is some post-racial utopia. Let's be honest, the country is still pretty ethnically uniform, but because the culture just doesn't obsess over race the way America does. You're not automatically suspicious. You're a guest. And in Thai culture, guests are sacred. Cities like Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and even island towns like Phuket have blossomed into hubs for Black digital nomads, content creators, educators, and retirees. They're building communities, businesses, and legacies without the constant hum of racial tension or the soul-sapping grind of trying to prove their worth. And let's talk dollars. Your money goes far. In Chiang Mai, you can live comfortably, and I mean comfortably, on $1,000 to $1,500 per month. That's rent, food, transportation, massages, and probably a personal smoothie guy named Somchai. A full medical visit costs less than a trip to Walgreens back home. And yes, the Wi-Fi is fast enough to zoom into your Monday meeting from a hammock. Now, will you see a ton of black faces? No, but you will see respect. You'll see people curious about who you are, not fearful. You'll experience a slower pace of life, fewer culture wars, and, this might sound wild, actual joy in the little things. Morning markets, street food, warm smiles, peace that isn't conditional. So let me ask you this, if your current zip code costs $3,000 per month and gives you daily panic attacks, why not explore a place that costs less, judges less, and welcomes you more? Thailand's not a fantasy. It's real, affordable, and ready. The only thing missing? Your one-way ticket. So there you have it. 10 non-African countries that want Black Americans to come live and work there, and they're not just throwing lip service. These countries are rolling out real policies, real opportunities, and most importantly, real respect. Whether you're dreaming of peace, prosperity, or just a break from being randomly selected, the world is wider and much more welcoming than we've been led to believe. Whether it's remote work, retirement, or a whole new chapter, there's something out there with your name on it. The only question now is, where would you go first? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. Smash that like button, subscribe if you're tired of the same old grind, and share this with someone who's overdue for a passport stamp.